I am the Fairy Frog Queen, and today I have a full moon reading for you. I'm filming this actually on Valentine's Day in February 2022, but this reading should be applicable to any full moon phase. Let's go ahead and get started with picking our piles. I have 3 pendants here to pick from, so pick a pendant reading. Here we go. The first pendant is Lepidolite. I've had this pendant for quite a few years and it helps me focus for the most part. Number 2 is this titanium quartz pendant. I got this about a year or 2 ago, and titanium quartz has helped me through some chaotic times in my life. And then lastly, for pile number 3, we have this rose quartz pendant that I got around the same time I got the Lepidolite pendant, and it has helped me with lots of self-love. So go ahead and pause the video if you need time to figure out which pile you're being drawn to the most. It could be more than one, it could be all 3, or it could be none of them. If that's the case, I would probably suggest that this particular video doesn't have a message for you right now. You can click back later or try a different video. So let's get started. Hi there, pile 1. If you picked this Lepidolite pendant, then this reading is for you. So this is I call them princess cards. It's the Work Your Own Magic deck by Amanda Lovelace. And I just wanted to pick one of these cards to kind of represent you as you are right now. We've got number 41, Sundress, Do It For You. So number 4, I know you can like add it to be like it's actually number 5, but the number 4 is all about stability, and the number 1 is about the self. And for Sundress, Do It For You, this is also a mermaid card in the deck. So mermaid archetypes or stories might be significant for you. But I would say you're taking a time of respite right now, a time of rest to breathe and calm down. And I'm getting cherries, or cherries something, maybe, or not strawberry, it's cherry jam. I'm thinking of cherry. So if you like working with fruits or herbs, that might be something to look into. I think it has something to do with love, maybe immortality, but I'm not sure. But anyway, Sundress, Do It For You. I think you finally have gotten a time to deep breathe and feel at home, or you're like in the midst of trying to find the feeling of home. But let's get into your oracle cards. So here we go. Drink tea. I think maybe this full moon is all about building a home for yourself, and the ritual of tea, making tea, drinking it, is probably something that can bring you a lot of peace right now, a lot of stability. I just keep hearing the word stability over and over again. So I'm thinking of Taurus, which is ruled by Venus, which is kind of cool because this is Valentine's Day for me right now. So you might have Venus as one of your main rulers, or Taurus in one of your main signs as well. Next we've got chanting, which is really interesting. It's not something I've really done a whole lot. I mean, I was raised Catholic, so I've done a bit of chanting, but it never really meant a whole lot to me. Nothing against people who do find a lot of fulfillment in Catholic chanting, but the pose she's in makes me think it's more, and the imagery here maybe more like throat singing or meditative chanting versus something you do like in a Catholic church. Anyway, Catholicism always comes up for me when I'm doing readings for other people. I don't know why. Maybe something I gotta work through. No one's perfect, right? The next one we have is align your life. What is not aligned or needs to change? So I'm getting a very big, like, Taurus, Pentacles, physical, earth energy, in that, like, your physical stability is something that is very important to you right now. Maybe you're moving, or you've just moved, or you just found out that you need to move, or maybe you're facing, God, I hope not, I hope you're not facing homelessness right now, but your home or where you live might be sort of under duress right now. Okay, interesting. We've got orphan child as one of your archetypes, and guide. Okay, interesting. Very interesting. I actually want to put them over here. Yeah. Because I've got one. Well, I was wrong, but that's okay. Here we go. Okay, so we've got child, orphan, and guide. So I think it would be a lot easier for you if you had a physical guide in real life, like a teacher or counselor or therapist or someone that could just tell you what to do. But with orphan right next to it, I think that you are your own guide right now. And then looking at the sundress, do it for you, like, you're having to go it alone, maybe for the first time in your life, and that's definitely very scary. I definitely feel that. Let's read the light attributes. Independence based on learning to go it alone, conquering fear of surviving. Shadow is feelings of abandonment that stifle maturation, seeking inappropriate surrogate families. And then guide, we've got represents the nature of the divine in life and in yourself. Shadow is places financial gain and control over imparting spiritual insight. Okay, yeah. So it might be very hard for you to connect spiritually, or spiritual connections are coming very easily to you, while everything in the physical plane is very intense and chaotic, or either or, something like that. Let's see what the last card is. It's Talons. This, I would say, corresponds to the Strength card in traditional tarot. So you are being called to be strong and be your own guide. You do have to go it alone, but I don't think you're totally alone. I think you do have some friends, hopefully, around you. I won't get too deep into it now before looking at your tarot that we're going to do in the full moon oracle spread that I got from the moon calendar app. I really like it. I use it every day. Not sponsored, but would definitely be sponsored by this app. Okay, yeah, I think you're at, yeah, okay. I love how these look, but I am going to clear them. I'm going to clear them so we can get into tarot, so I can look a little bit more specifically at what's going on, because if I just keep talking, I'll just be repeating the things I've already said. So, okay. I've shuffled and pulled them already, because I know I'm doing the 5-card spread. So, here we go. A little bit about the full moon. It is honestly the most common moon phase for witches and spiritual people to do their spiritual work at. It's the most energetic part of the moon phase. It's attraction energy, it's gratitude energy, it's very intense. If emotions are something you struggle to kind of control and surf over, it might be a very emotional time for you. It also represents, because the full moon technically lasts for 3 days, we've got the almost full, which is the maiden moon, the full moon, you can call the mother, and then the almost full moon the next night after that is the crone mother, and it begins the waning process. So if the triple moon goddess and any of her iterations are important to you, I would look into that. But let's get started. So the first card is kind of the current situation as it is now. We've got the Empress. Okay, so I think you might be you are ready. / already are making a home for yourself. Whatever you are doing in terms of decorating or planning or budgeting, spending money on things that you love and spark joy, I think you're doing already. You're doing the right thing. I want to give you encouragement that you are your own empress. You give fruit to yourself. Mentioning fruit again, list number 2 is the, well, not ready yet actually. We've got butterflies on the card here, and I'm pretty sure butterflies, especially white butterflies, symbolize new beginnings, or I think white butterflies specifically can represent either a loved one who has passed or some sort of spirit guide. Okay, number 2 is the past influences in your life. And we've got the reverse 2 of Cups. Okay, so I think maybe a breakup has just happened, or some sort of flirtation fell through, some sort of romantic connection is now no longer in the cards for you with this specific person, or people, but it's a 2, so I'm going to say person. So breakups are hard, and there's no other way about it. They suck, and it's so interesting that this is Valentine's Day, because being single on Valentine's Day, if you're not like committed to loving on yourself or loving on your friends or on something, it's a really big pitfall of like, I'm lonely, like I'm alone, I'm lonely, and I wish I wasn't. So I'm really loving that the Empress came out first, though, because that's you. That's who you are. Your higher self is the feminine energy. If whether or not you identify as a woman or anything doesn't truly matter. Gender is fluid, but I'm thinking of Freckle from the Life of Caleb Gallo, like the Gay and Wondrous Life of Caleb Gallo, that YouTube series, where Freckle, one of the first scenes we see them in, they go, I'm gender fluid, and they like tense their neck, and it's hilarious. Anyway, you should watch it if you haven't. Okay, so what I wanted to say earlier when I started talking about how difficult breakups are, no way around that. There is the other side of breakups that is actually quite beautiful, and that it's a fresh start, and you get to look at yourself in a new light and fall in love with yourself all over again, because part of falling in love with someone else is you get to fall in love with yourself through their eyes, and that is a huge part of what actually hurts in a breakup and heartbreak is the fact that you no longer have access to your image through their eyes, but you have always been you, and you've always been worthy of being loved, of being fallen in love with. And when you are suddenly single, or single again, or maybe for the first time in a long time, you get to rediscover yourself completely new, which is a really exciting time. And honestly, February is the end of February, I would say, into March is a great time to be doing it. Even though this is a timeless reading, I'm doing this for the what am I saying? I'm saying February because it's Valentine's Day. I can't get that out of my head. I said Valentine's Day already. Let me move on. No, actually. There we go. Way better. Okay. But spring, if you are watching this when the video comes out, is coming, which is a great season to rediscover yourself because the world is coming back to life. Last spring I was really into foraging, and foraging in spring is really magical. You've got the spring onions coming up, and some sweet peas starting to show up, and it's really, especially after a long winter, it's really beautiful. And so you can kind of think of yourself as the spring ephemerals that are pushing through the frozen earth as it begins to thaw, to say hello to the sun and world again. So the next card, number 3, is your internal influences, and we've got 8 of Swords. Okay, so before pulling this card, I was getting like honestly very light energy, even though this, like the 2 of Cups in reverse, did point me to a romantic relationship falling through. We have the Empress here of like what the situation is, and then the Oracle cards I pulled earlier were like felt like very special, a very special time in your life where you're just beginning again and starting again. Okay. But your internal world is completely different. There were really not a whole lot of dark colors in your oracle spread, but we've got this like really dark, shadowy purple hanging overhead, and you're like tangled by all these really vicious, sharp thoughts that are like plaguing you, I'm getting, and you probably these thorns and these swords. I mean, the story of the suit of swords in tarot is it's quite vicious. It's as far as I understand, it's someone who finds a sword and then completely misuses it, because much like our thoughts, swords can be used for good or for violence, right? And if your mindset is not aligned, I'm remembering that aligned card, and it was someone's face all broken up like shattered mirror glass. Your truth is this, like your truth is like you are rooted in stability. The Empress is another Venus card, I believe. Gotta be, right? A heart chakra, rose quartz, emerald, really heart-centered, grounded energy, but your thoughts are so tangled and thorny, either at other people or at yourself, or like you're just not happy with where you are right now, while where you are is, well, maybe not exactly what you had planned or hoped for. Maybe this hummingbird, the green here, is kind of mimicking, and this is the only green card in the 2 of Cups, which is really interesting to see the hummingbird next to it. Maybe this hummingbird was something fleeting that you had hoped for, and now you realize that it's just going to flit away, and it's not really the stability that you were looking for. But you are the only person that can give you stability, at least right now in your life, with the Orphan card and the Sundress do it for you coming up. Let's see what external really is. So 9 of Wands. Okay, 9s are all about you're almost there, and outside of tarot, 9s are 3 squared, so it's that triple moon goddess energy that, like, by the power of 3 times 3 as does my will, so mote it be, thing that I say after my spells and when I'm cleansing. But 3 is a very magical number because it represents the triple moon goddess. So external is you're almost there and you're already divine. You haven't quite won yet, but you've won and lost many battles before, and now you're looking at the final one. The last battle, is that the name of something, either Harry Potter or Narnia? I feel like a lot of children's lit ends with the last battle, which makes a lot of sense, because that's kind of what growing up, or lots of cycles in our lives, kind of feel like, of like I'm fighting battle after battle, and then there's one final challenge that I have to push through in order to claim victory. But be careful, because the 10 of Wands, the one that comes right after this, it's a burden card. It's in this deck, it's someone bent over with an island on their back with buildings on it, and it's all about that you've pushed yourself too hard and you've started too many things, and now you have to keep taking care of them, but it's taking too much energy and you are overburdened and burnt out. The Wands are the suit of fire. and so be careful. I'm hearing the Fiddler on the Roof playing with matches, a girl can get burned. That song might actually be kind of fun to listen to, especially if you have gone through a breakup and you enjoy musical theater, because it's about them being like, matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. And about like, they're talking about like their dream boats and like what they want, and then by the end of the song, these three sisters realize that like actually love, like you can get burned really easy, so maybe don't find me a match quite yet. So the last card is your advice card, and we've got the Page of Cups in reverse. Okay, so I would honestly say this is a go to therapy card, because you are really just, I don't think you actually understand the depth of your emotional state. I think maybe you aren't, and I hate to say something so serious, but maybe you're not fully diagnosed yet with what is really going down on. This card in reverse shows me that something is off balance, or maybe if you are diagnosed, you still haven't found the correct pill cocktail as it goes that works for your system and your brain and body. Maybe you haven't found a therapist that really works for you, or emotional exercises, breath exercises, or journaling, or whatever it is that you've been trying isn't really doing it for you. And I think you need to really look at, and you might have to zoom out a little bit to kind of see how you've been affecting your own life and the thorns that have been plaguing you. I keep hearing and of course the pandemic is still going on as the time of filming this, and it does not look like it's going to end anytime soon. But anyway, I just kept hearing the word plague, like these thoughts are plaguing you. And so if you really struggle with intrusive thoughts, with turning your thoughts around, and it's hard for you to kind of control where your mind goes, I would definitely seek therapy, seek some sort of professional counsel or help, because mental or emotional or personality disorders are extremely difficult to be inside of, to live with, and extremely difficult for your loved ones around you as well. And that is kind of a harsher truth, but as someone who has BPD, borderline personality disorder, it is still the truth. And that's not to say you're not worthy of love or not worthy of having loved ones around you. It just means that it does take a lot of extra care and work to stabilize, to get that stability that you wanted so incredibly. I want to pull some other cards. I think I actually want to pull more of these princess cards. So we've already seen sundress. What else do we have for pile 1 when it comes to energy and advice they need for this moon phase / particular phase in pile 1's life? I'm getting 3 cards, is that right? Or maybe just 2. Okay. I don't take reverse, so let's see. Lavender, surround yourself with love, as well as bitch fire, stand up for yourself, and then what's on the back of the deck? Interesting. Justice is coming, and you can manifest your every wish. So I was wrong. It's 4. This one's kind of in the background though. This one actually feels like the bottom of the deck, which I'll put there. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Lavender, surround yourself with love. Very obviously, if you like connecting to herbs or flowers, fresh or dried lavender or lavender essential oil or perfume or bath salts, or I mean, you could, it's so popular, you can find lavender in anything, would be great, especially if it's hard for you to kind of calm yourself down when you're in an emotional state. And if you are watching this around the time of a full moon, your emotions might tend to be a bit more heightened than they would normally. So I would definitely suggest lavender, as well as spending time with friends where you feel recharged after hanging out with them. Even as an introvert, I recharge by myself, but there are some friendships that are so easygoing and so special that I do not feel drained after hanging out with them. So I hope you have people like that as well. And if you don't, definitely with this manifest your every wish, I think you can definitely manifest that sort of energy. I think you have that power. Bitch fire, stand up for yourself. So if you have been wronged or hurt or feel as though you've been wronged or hurt, this is a card that calls you to action, basically, to kind of open your throat chakra and speak up for yourself. If that really isn't your style, no worries, me neither. You can write out a letter that you never send. You can journal something that the person who has wronged you will never see, and you can tell your counselor and work through it with them. If confrontation really is not the best option for you in your particular situation, know that you... I guess I'll end it there, but if you're angry, you have a right to be angry, and you have a right to work things out. That's what I wanted to say. You have a right to work things out. Okay. Justice is coming. So, since you have, maybe you've recently been disowned with that orphan card, or cast aside with this breakup, and it feels really unfair, some sort of equilibrium is going to shake out from this. Justice is coming, and this card reminds us that if you are the one who has maybe done things a little bit imbalanced, a little bit incorrectly, no worries. We all do it. We all make mistakes. We're all seeing the world through our own personal lenses, which are not always neutral. And this card reminds us that if justice is coming for you, to accept it gracefully, and learn from your mistakes and move on. If it's coming for someone else, don't worry, karma will get them. So I think that is where I am going to leave this reading for now. Thank you so much for watching. It got a little bit intense there at the end, so please comment down below if any of this resonated, or if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I am hoping to put out new videos frequently. It's still very new, so I haven't quite got a film edit upload schedule down yet, but as soon as I do, you will be the first to know. So thank you so much. Bye-bye. Hi there, Pile 2. If you chose this titanium quartz pendant, then this reading is for you. So I think it's interesting that you chose this titanium quartz already, because it corresponds to the Tower card in tarot, and it really helps through chaotic times. So I'm really interested to see what's going on. But it might not be chaotic at all. Let's find out. We've got sun. Paint the sun back into your sky. This is a, I call them princess cards, but this is from the Believe in Your Own Magic Oracle deck by Amanda Lovelace. And I wanted to pull it to sort of represent you as you are right now. So this is honestly one of the most beautiful cards. First of all, everyone in this deck has like the coolest fashion, and I really love the colors of, I really love the darkness and the blue and the yellow. So let's get into your oracles. Okay, we've got create art. Oh my gosh. So maybe you are a painter or a visual artist of some kind. It's really cool that we've got paint the sun back into your sky and create art with this paint here. This I'm thinking of watercolors or oil pastels. We've got positive affirmations, and let's read some of them. We've got I love myself, I choose love, brave, beautiful, worthy, grateful, healthy, and happy. Oh, and this person also has the triple moon goddess that I guess I didn't say it in the intro. I said it in pile 1, but I wanted to explain a bit of what the full moon is about, but I can do that once we get to the tarot. Anyway, Then we have yes, just say yes. So if you have been questioning whether or not it is time for you to rejoin the world, to get back into art, to maybe start posting your art, I'm hearing making videos. I'm thinking of the Drawfee channel. I've been watching lots and lots of Drawfee, which has honestly inspired me to get up and start making tarot videos. So whatever project or perspective or world view, what is it? Is it project? I think it is project, but there's another word I'm trying to find, that maybe a job, project or prospect. Yes, that's what it was. If there is a new prospect, you can say yes to it. And I think your higher self will really enjoy and be very grateful for the fact that you have said yes to it. Let's see what your archetypes are. We've got gossip, awakens consideration for the feelings of others, honoring trust. Shadow is thrives on the power of passing on private or secret information, betraying confidences. Okay, let's put that there for now. Then we've got detective, great powers of observation and intuition, desire to seek out the truth. Shadow is voyeurism, falsifying information. Really interesting to see these two together, because gossip and detective are, I would put them as the element of air. It's all about words and facts and logic and information. Both of these are very information based. So maybe the prospect you're looking for, I think it could go two ways. It could be either one has absolutely nothing to do with logic, and maybe you're judging yourself a little bit, worried about how people will gossip. Maybe you tend to gossip about other people and for doing things that you would secretly enjoy. I'm getting just a titch, just a tiny bit of that. Let's see what the deck is. We've got Skull in reverse, which it basically means rebirth. It's kind of the Phoenix card. It's the death card in traditional tarot. Okay, so I think these archetypes that maybe you've either identified with consciously or unconsciously. Actually, I'm thinking of Rachel McElroy on the wonderful podcast that she does with her husband Griffin. She has a whole episode where she talks about the benefits of gossip, which is super interesting, especially if you kind of like it. I kind of like it too, but not mean gossip, just kind of talking about what's going on. It feels good to. It felt good. Anyway, I don't think you should talk smack about people, more or less. I'll stop there before I dig myself into a ditch. But Skull in reverse, I'm hearing rise from the ashes, like a sequoia. That phrase has burned its way into my mind, much like a wildfire would. But death in tarot is truly all about rebirth, and I think you've experienced some sort of death in your life, and that might be literal, passing of a loved one. It might be literal in the fact that, and a bit of a trigger warning here, perhaps you struggle with suicide, and maybe you are coming out of that sort of place and rejoining the world. And if that is the case, I want to say that as someone who struggled with the same thing, and it's hard for me to say words because I feel it in my heart. I want to extend my heart to yours and say that I am glad you're here. But if I keep talking about that, I'll start crying. So let's get into your tarot. As I clear the board and put your tarot out, I want to say that it's a very special energy. I'm getting a very fresh, new, vulnerable energy, a bit kind of like, I have two metaphors here. One is kind of like a moth coming out of her cocoon and having to find somewhere safe to let her wings dry, so that she can fly. The second metaphor is a little less romantic in that kind of like a crab or a crustacean that has outgrown its shell and has to molt and get rid of it and spend some time red and raw as your new carapace forms. So maybe you're in that kind of squishy, vulnerable place, but let's get your tarot. I've already shuffled and pulled the 5 cards we will need for the full moon spread. This one I got from the Moon Calendar app. I love it very much, would love to be sponsored by them, but this video isn't sponsored. So, the full moon, as promised, let's talk about it. It is the most common phase for witches to do their spell work because it is the most energetic phase of the moon. It's when attraction and gratitude and, I want to say, joyful energy reaches its peak, although it can, it's intense energy emotionally. And so if it's not always joyful. You kind of have to be careful. If you're doing any spell work, you have to be careful, but I'm talking quite quickly. I'm wondering if you're a Gemini or some sort of, or another air sign. So that would be Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Or maybe you just talk very quickly, because I think words are very important to you, words and information, with those 2 archetypes, gossip and detective, coming out. I'm finding it very easy to speak, which is not always true when I'm channeling, so I think it would be really fun to talk to you. Okay, number 1 is your current situation. Yep, we've got 6 of Swords in reverse. You are flying away from a battle, from something that was honestly probably quite traumatic for you, and intense, and with swords makes me think it something to do with words or matters of the mind. Mental health came through a lot in pile 1 as well, so you might want to watch that, but it was more personality and emotion than mentality. Let's keep going. Number 2 is your past influences. 10 of Cups in reverse. So there was some sort of intense romantic relationship, or at least emotional connection, that went sour, that went south, and I'm very sorry to see that. I'm thinking of Billie Eilish, Happier Than Ever, that song and the album, that kind of like, I invested so much only to realize that you were mistreating me kind of a vibe. So if you're coming out of that, coming out of kind of a bad breakup, I spoke about this a lot in pile 1, and I should mention that I am filming this on Valentine's Day, so it's really interesting that breakup energy has come through in both piles. Once again, I want to extend my heart to you. I didn't want to say that again, but it felt weird not to, so channeling is so interesting. So yes, so I would say that kind of new crab feeling, or mothwing feeling, which is the name of a fairy in Midsummer Night's Dream. So if you like Shakespeare, that might be a good watch or read. I don't know if they filmed, I hope they did, but the Globe Theater, when I went there a couple summers ago, did A Midsummer Night's Dream, and it was very fun. So I think some theaters have filmed live versions, and I'm sure there's movies. Okay. Wait, what is it? What do you want? All I'm hearing is talk more about the crab. Talk more about the crab. If you've seen the Pepsi crab meme, that might be a good meme to go back to just to give yourself a laugh. Okay, that's what it was. Number 3 is internal influences. We've got death in reverse again. Are you kidding me? Okay, so I would say ego death, or death of the self as well, of the way you viewed yourself maybe while you were in this relationship is now no longer who you are. And so you are kind of coming out of this cocoon, cracking out of your shell, and realizing that who you were then is not who you are now, and definitely not who you're gonna be, and who you're meant to be, and who your higher self is. So external influences is the High Priestess in reverse. So you might be having some people spiritually guiding you that maybe actually aren't maybe don't actually have your best intentions in mind. When I don't often, if you don't feel loved by a guide, whether that's a physical guide on earth or a spiritual guide on the other side, I'm getting a lot of like pop culture references in this pile, so maybe you just really like watching things or listening to things, you really like consuming media. I'm trying to say it's heavier now. When I was before I started recording and I was getting ready to channel your energy, I asked for your higher self and your highest guides to communicate only if they love you unconditionally and have unconditional love as the goal and your like highest good in mind. And so if and I felt like tingly, like ASMR tingly of the love and the light, and it was a really light, bouncy, bubbly energy coming through like sparks or pop rocks, fizzy energy like champagne bubbles. So if you don't feel like happy, joyful, lovey champagne bubbles when you're communicating with any sort of energy, especially if it's on the other side, then really be careful with how you go about it, because I've had to deal with tricksters before, and I know some witches that have had to deal with much more intense demonic energy. And I would hate that for you, especially if you're in a very new crab phase. So if you... So I'm feeling so heavy. Like, remember how I was saying like it was so easy to talk, and now I feel like there's a lead ball in the pit of my stomach, and that I think they're probably left over from whatever bad shit was going on here is this like dark, heavy energy that really is not you, like is really not who you are and who you're meant to be. And I think really you should do some sort of protection first and foremost, and cleanse out whatever it is. And if it's not something spiritual, though, with the High Priestess, I'm guessing it is, because the High Priestess really corresponds to anything sort of spiritual or magical, especially the darker, more shadowy side of magic and religion. And with it in reverse, it means that something is out of balance within your circle. So with that being said, it could be more physical, like maybe you have to cut some more physical ties of communication, but I wanted to say that as sort of a disclaimer that it doesn't have to be spiritual. I'm not going to tell you that like you're being haunted right now, but you might be, and if you are, there is a ton of research. I would look at Jordyn Moon on Instagram, or Jordyn Moon's Apothecary, I believe is her website. She is a very powerful witch who has a hex breaker bar of soap that would be really great for sort of breaking any sort of shadowy, heavy, coal dust clinging onto you. It's like black tarry. It's shitty. It's bad. Whatever garbage you're running from, you want to leave these crows in the past, right? So let's see what the advice is for that. Is Knight of Cups. And so I heard very clearly, you are your own knight, or you need to be your own knight. So you have the ability, the resources, and the power to rescue yourself from your own tower. You don't have to wait for someone who's promising you things they'll never fulfill. You don't have to wait for some idealized romantic version of a partner. You can be your own knight. And another way to look at cards in reverse is that it's internal energy. And I'm going to take that as like, you are your knight. Put on your armor, like unsheath your sword. I'm glad I'm gonna pull more of the princess cards. They're very much about like the let's see, the cover of it is this is the box here. The cover of it is this person in a tower with very long hair like Rapunzel, but she's got her own sword and shield, and she's packing a bag on her own. Someone mentioned earlier that this piece of cloth that she's polishing her sword with looks like a piece of bread. Comment down below if you agree. Okay. Now that I grabbed that though, let me grab the whole deck so we can get some further advice for you on this Valentine's full moon. Okay. Let's get some oracle cards to give you advice about how to maybe utilize this full moon energy that you're watching this video on to kind of manifest your own sword, shield, and helmet with a plume. Okay, Here we go. We've got wings. Oh my god, the tower. And the wings. We're talking about the moth wings and the stuff you leave behind. You never needed those wings to fly. That's how powerful you are. Honestly, astral projection or even levitation in meditation might be something that is really fun for you to get into. We've got villain. You can always rewrite the story. Oh yes, the water imagery here is with 10 of Cups over there, and this is of course referencing the Little Mermaid story with evil witch stole your voice, but if you destroy it, she can't use it against you, right? And the key phrase in the booklet's description of this card is sometimes our villains win. Sometimes our villains win, but you can always rewrite the story. Let's get another one. We've got morning, the world awaits you, really hearkening back to the paint the sun back into your sky and just say yes cards of that, like, yes, now is the correct time. We're getting a lot of water energy, and I'm excited that it was the Knight of Cups specifically that came out for what sort of knight you want to be. So Knight of Cups is someone who is on top of their emotions, someone who can surf the tides very well. There's also the mermaid archetype in this deck. The Little Mermaid story might be one that calls to you, might be maybe it's the Disney one, maybe it's the original Hans Christian Andersen one, maybe it's the Selkies or any sort of like marine fae creature or fairy tale creature. We've got the fish out here, maybe just marine biology or the ocean. Maybe it scares you, but maybe it interests you at the same time. Also connecting to water. I'm so glad I mentioned the Hexbreaker bar earlier. Because a bath or shower ritual or something that has to do with water might be the best way to kind of be reborn the way you need to be. In the back of the deck we have flower. We don't take reverse cards. Oh my god, more water here. So spring will be coming soon as of time of filming this. And it might be good to just kind of stand out in the rain. Not for super long so you don't want to get a cold, but water is really coming through, especially if you felt very stagnant or felt very burned. This is a very fiery card. Water might be very soothing for you. And so we've got flower, be honest with yourself. Yeah, okay. The raindrops was just the card underneath this one. So be honest with yourself. It's kind of a tough card pill to swallow because it's like, well, aren't I being honest with myself? And then later you find out like, ah, shit, no, I wasn't. The cards were right. But it's not a mean card. It's not saying like you're lying to yourself. It's just like, try to zoom out of the snow globe just a tiny bit and see all the good things you have going on in your life. Look how beautiful this woman's hair is, the red and the curls and the flowers, and she's all worried. And well, like, you're like, I'm imagining the work that would have gone into this if you're like gonna photograph a shot like this. You've got a cameraman right over you and like lights and stuff, and look at how much effort you've already put in to manifesting your life the way you want it to. You don't have to pay attention to the crows you're leaving behind. Look at the sun that the swan is taking you to. So I think that's where I'm gonna end. The last thing I want to say is finding the love of self. I don't want to go too far into it. I think I've given you a ton of information to work from, and the last piece of advice is be honest with yourself. You are doing a good job and you are your own knight. So that is where I'm going to leave you officially. Thank you so much for watching. This was a really fun pile to read, really fun energy to channel. So I hope you watch my videos again because I liked reading for you. But if anything did resonate with you, please comment down below and let me know. And if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I am working on like a film edit upload schedule that works for me. It's still very new. I've got a bit of new crab energy myself. So as soon as I get something specific nailed down, you will be the first to know. So bye. Hi there, pile 3. If you chose this rose quartz pendant, then this reading is for you. I have here, I call them princess cards, but they're from the Work Your Own Magic Oracle deck by Amanda Lovelace to sort of represent you as where you are now. We've got gray. Endings are inevitable. I think this is one of the most beautiful cards in the deck, honestly. Let's get to the rest of your oracle cards, though. Okay. I wanted to pull the oracle cards, but I think your spirit guides are telling me that we want to take a look more at this one specifically. So I've done a lot of work with this card myself personally. The word gray, spelled with an E, is quite important to me personally, and honestly, endings are inevitable is a lesson I'm still trying to learn. So twins. But there's quite a few ways to look at this card. So one way to look at this is, of course, to imagine yourself as this witch on the dock watching the ship leave. And that way, if you're looking at it that way, you can imagine, well, first of all, look at this ship. It's sailing on clouds into some lightning storms. So this ship isn't really going the best place, maybe, and there's probably like really cool stuff at the dock that you can't see in the card that you can turn around and enjoy once you're done saying goodbye. But she is crying here. It is a really hard parting. The other way to look at it is to imagine yourself on this ship and to imagine that you are heading into lightning storms and sailing on clouds and going away while maybe someone who didn't want you to leave even though you had to is left on the dock. So those are kind of the two ways I look at it. If you saw something else when you saw this card or heard me talk about it, please go ahead and comment down below. I'd love to hear it. I really love hearing people's, and pardon my fridge, I really love hearing different people's interpretations of the same cards because everyone reads things differently. So let's get into your oracles, a little bit more of the energy surrounding you right now in this full moon. Okay, we've got spend time with animals. If you have a pet, that is pretty easy to do, but if you don't, maybe going to a zoo or just taking a nature walk and seeing the wildlife you got going on, or even picking an animal that really calls to you and researching about them. I spent quite a bit of time reading National Geographic's page about raccoons the other night, just because I wanted to, and I learned some cool stuff. They eat frogs. Did you know that? The second self-care card is rest. So I'm honestly imagining like teddy bears or stuffed animals. A way to spend time with animals is if you have some stuffed ones, go ahead and cuddle with them and get some rest. I'm getting very tired, very heartbroken vibes from this. Heartbreak has honestly come out in all three piles. So if you have recently gone through specifically a breakup and another of the pendants or piles spoke to you, go ahead and watch one of the ones earlier in the video. But if not, no worries. So our next one is break the chain, ancestral patterns, healing, rewriting the future. So if there was this might be a familial heartbreak, like maybe your ties with a family member have been broken. If that is the case, it was probably necessary, but I know that it is very hard, and I kind of want to take that back, actually. I want to say that if that is the case, I know that it's very hard, but oftentimes it is necessary, and you never know, maybe you and this family member might reconnect in the future after you both have spent some time healing. Okay. We've got warrior in reverse. So let's read the shadow attribute first. We've got trading ethical principles for victory at any cost, indifference to the suffering inflicted on others. And we've got light, strength, skill, discipline, and toughness of will, heroism, stoicism, and self-sacrifice, and conquering the ego. So damn, you are tired. You have been fighting for a long time, probably trying to break these chains and rid yourself of maybe generational trauma, ancestral patterns. We've got Midas, miser, really interesting. Entrepreneurial or creative ability to turn anything to gold, delight in sharing life's riches. And shadow is hoarding money and emotions, obsessive fear of losing your wealth. Okay, so maybe finances had something to do with this sort of break the chain situation. maybe you fought really hard in order to, I'm getting that maybe someone is asking you for money or has asked you for money that you don't really trust with financial matters, and maybe you've had to say no, which is a very hard thing to do, especially if it is family or even just someone who is close to you. And you might feel a little ruthless for having to stick up for yourself in that way. Let's see, we've got Star in reverse. So I think you're losing a little bit of hope, is kind of what that card, actually, we're gonna go more over here. No, well, it's a little imbalanced, I want to say. I didn't feel like, and everyone had the same number of cards in the spreads, and I haven't felt like the previous two were off balance, and so I want to kind of, you take that as correspondence and say, the Star is all about finding your North Star, finding your true north, finding the light in the darkness, and the hope again, finding hope again once more. If you want to look at archetypes, I would say it corresponds to the magical child archetype, which their shadow attribute, or in reverse, is all about kind of pessimism and depression and losing magic, like losing the view of the world that includes magic and miracles. So this is, yes, I want to get into your tarot actually pretty quickly here, because this is really interesting energy that I want to really get my hands into, knead it like dough. So I have pulled your tarot already. We've got a 5-card spread here that I got from the Moon Calendar app for their oracles. Spreads that go along with different moon phases. I really like it a lot. Would def be sponsored, but this video is not sponsored. So what does the full moon mean? Okay, so the full moon is the most common phase associated with witchcraft. It's a really easy energy to harness. It's gratitude, it's attraction, it's joy, it's fruition energy, things that you've been working toward the past month or cycle. Kind of, you get to kind of see the fruits of your labor, or at least the start of the fruits of your labor if it's a more long-term cycle. It also represents the triple goddess, Maiden Mother Crone. So if that or any of her iterations speak to you, go ahead and look more into that after the video. So the first card represents the situation as it is now. Okay, we've got the Fool. So a brand new, fresh start is happening for you. I would say this kind of really represents you as well as the situation at large. We've got number 2, the past, Tower. Okay, so yeah, definitely something has been broken. I'm not getting a big romantic partnership vibe. I'm getting much more friend or family falling apart, which I'm very sorry to hear about. Family conflict is never easy. Internal influences, the Chariot. So you are someone who is strong-willed, especially with Midas and Warrior coming out. You, if you subscribe to the Hippocrates model, like the 4 humors and how that kind of corresponds to personality types, you are probably a choleric or dominant person, someone who really knows what they want and is pretty comfortable with being in control, or at least saying no to things they don't want and kind of setting their boundaries. Or this is much more about going after what you want. The Chariot is never depicted with reins. The charioteer is always steering the chariot with his hips, so his will center, his appetite, the things he wants. Our external influences are the 9 of Cups, which is really interesting. So let me pull the last one. Advice is 2 of Wands in reverse. Okay, so this is so interesting and honestly so straightforward. Like, I'm a little bit curious about what the 9 of Cups is. Since it's external, I would say it's somebody else either deep in their feels or something else is asking you to dive deeper. It's, pardon the telephone ringing in the background, I hope you don't mind. Honestly, maybe this person is like reaching you on your cell phone a lot, and maybe I can't tell if this is a deep dive you need to do or don't need to do. I mean, I kind of, err on the side of doing the deep dive to figure out what's going on in your emotions. This honestly might be someone else who needs to do a deep dive of their own, but they keep getting distracted by their own little angler light here and aren't really finding the truth of the situation. The Two of Wands in reverse as advice is I keep hearing a reminder that you made the right choice. A reminder that these two things, whether it was you and an ideal, two parts of yourself, or you and a family member or partner or job or project, whatever it is, really, really, really wasn't balanced, really wasn't going to work, was kind of doomed from the start. Let me pull some more princess cards for you. Okay, I've got get a little bit more of an energetic look at it, because I'm hearing Hosier singing "There Is No Right Way." I think that's from his song No Plan. I think that's from Wasteland. I should know. I listen to those albums all the time. His first one and then the Wasteland. Okay. So can I get... Sure I can. Okay. We've got Mural. Be your own first priority. Yeah, I think this situation has been asking you to be very firm. And honestly kind of selfish, but sometimes you need to be selfish, especially if you're breaking generational chains. Father, think first before you judge. Okay, this makes way more sense. Thank you. Number 26. So even if you had to cut somebody out of your life, doesn't mean that they're necessarily a bad person. Doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It just means that you could no longer be in each other's lives. This is all about, it does reference a lot of like girls and competition and stuff, but I'm not really getting that vibe here. I'm getting family for sure, and like I'm getting a much more adult vibe from this. So whatever age you are, whatever age they are, it's a much more higher stakes, mature situation. Okay. Shark, swim away from the situation. So yeah, definitely take that as a confirmation that you swam at the right time. Okay, this person might be more of a shark, actually. I think they're kind of similar here. Not, well, a little bit. They both got tails. Let's see what the back of the deck is. Escapist, come home to yourself. So tiger, I changed it because it says lioness, but lions don't have stripes. That's one of my gripes. I'm someone who draws all over their cards and throws away the ones that they don't like. But don't judge. Okay, they're my cards. I bought them. So tigress, you've earned all your stripes. Plus, I think we don't hear the word tigress enough. But I tigress. Anyway, stupid. Come home to yourself. So the tower is in the past. And I feel like... And we've got the Fool here as the current situation. Like you're already starting the new path. You've already done it. So I think you can stop worrying so much. I think it's you're very worried and asking yourself, did I make the right choice? Did I release this at the right time? Was this at the right time? I'm hearing, and it was. And maybe you could have done it sooner, but maybe you couldn't have. And no one's going to judge you for that, for doing something so difficult. And you did it when you were ready at your own time, when you had the willpower to do it, and now it's time to take another leap of faith, and it is the right time to start again, or to come home, I think I should say, to your new life without this person or thing connected to you anymore. I think that is pretty much the end of the reading. Is there any... No, I think that's it. It was very straightforward. Not a very long reading. At least it didn't feel very long, but yeah, I think the main message that was coming through is to just stop worrying about it. I'm always so wary of ending things too early, and since I'm recording, I don't know if this is reaching anybody or making sense, but I think that is the end. Stop worrying about it. Don't judge yourself. Don't judge other people, and be your own first priority. Come home. Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm gonna end. Okay. Thank you so much for watching this video. If anything did resonate, I am dying to hear about it, so please comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. This is still a pretty new kind of full venture for me, so I don't have a filming, editing, uploading schedule nailed down quite yet, but as soon as I do, you will be the first to know. So, bye!